Hello, 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 and welcome to another podcast of Gen E 2024. What is Gen E? Well, you all know. It's the largest youth entrepreneurship festival that this year is going to be hosted in Italy. Indeed, July 2024. Thousands of young people who started their program back in September. We had 390,000 starting their program back in September, and now the best of the best coming to Italy, Catania, where we have a great partner, HSBC. So I'm very glad to have here with me today, as part of our podcast, Gerd Pircher, who is the Chief Executive Officer of HSBC Continental Europe. I understand he's also based in Italy. Hello, Gerd. How are you?
Yes, just to correct you, I'm HSBC Continental Europe, Italy. So I'm the CEO for
Then
Italy.
the
That
Europe,
means in short.
Italy. Yeah,
Yeah.
make sure that Italy is flagged over there. Definitely, yes. Continental Europe, Italy. So you're based in Milan, I understand.
Yes, based in Milan. And good afternoon, good morning to all the audience that are listening to us and watching us.
What we are going to talk today is about the concept of climate finance and sustainable investing. That I'm sure young people are saying, what is going to be that? But before entering into it, since our audience is made up of young people, do you remember when you were 16, 20 years old? What do you really wanted to become? Is this the sector you would have chosen?
Um, that's probably a more difficult question than one about climate finance and climate investing. No, listen, I was high schooler in the extreme northeast of Italy. That's the region around the Dolomites, and I loved as much the mountains and nature around me as I do today. And I had a vague idea of either wanting to become a a mountain ranger or a vet. So I guess I didn't quite make it. I only became a banker, but that's life. Sometimes the roads in life go
What
into
a
strange directions.
change. What a change of career. But I'm sure you're enjoying what you're doing today at HSBC. And our young people are interested to know about climate finance and how does it differ from traditional form of finance. Tell me more about it.
Yes, with pleasure. Climate finance is, and we'll talk, I think, in a moment also about climate investing, is something that everyone talks about, but many people have very, very different views on it. In essence, in the most simple form, climate finance refers to financing that seeks to support the mitigation and adaptation uh, uh, of any activity that will address climate change. For banks, that means primarily not so much the emissions of the banks themselves, because that's, of course, a relatively minor set of emissions, but so-called scope 3 emissions. Now, that's a technical expression that all that it means is those are the emissions of the customers of the bank. And in essence, therefore, the focus is exactly on those financed emissions. Now, when we talk about green or climate finance, which again are two terms that are often used interchangeably, it's very easy to focus on green tech or climate tech or electric vehicles or new battery technologies or hydrogen. All these are new, more or less new technologies that attract a lot of financing focus. And of course, that do fall in this bucket, but it's very important to realize at the same time that when we talk about transition and climate finance, what we also mean is traditional industries, maybe particularly dirty industries, uh, very often in emerging countries, but not only, that also need to transition. And ironically, if you think it through, um, there can be more achieved for the greening of finance, for the sustainability of an economy, to take a particularly dirty industry and help it transition faster than it otherwise might have been, um, into something greener, into something more sustainable. So compared
And
to
we're seeing
traditional.
many of young people who are actually going into it, Gerd.
Mhm.
But why is sustainable also investing important for young entrepreneurs, right? For young Europeans that are concerned about the environment and the future generation where they are going to live. But sometimes you can say, yeah, whether it is finance or investing,
Mhm.
you should go where the money brings more returns, right? I mean, so why
Well,
the are the two things exclusive? Are the two things? Let me just play the devil's advocate here.
yeah, the simple answer here is yes, financial aspects to investing are important, but not only. Humans have made very drastic changes to the environment, and we need to change our behavior, and we need to do so fast. I think that is something we have all understood. So one simple way we can all do that is to do our part also by investing our money in a responsible, in a more sustainable way. And sustainable investing has emerged as a way to make a positive impact on the planet and society by simply having investments go more towards sustainable industries, projects, companies, and away from less sustainable companies, projects, industries. And it may well seem that sustainable investing is a drop in the ocean when looked at from an individual's point of view, but it isn't. It simply isn't. It is sustainable investing is an investment approach that considers environmental, social, and governance criteria in addition to traditional financial factors that you referred to.
So we're looking at both, right? We're looking at the returns on one side, but at the same time, and the positive impact that any kind of those investment makes on the society, makes it on the environment. Let's put ourselves into the shoes of those young people who want to really look at it. What are the barriers that you think, or the challenges that you think they're facing it today when trying to engage in sustainable investing or attract sustainable investing for their entrepreneurial journey today?
Now, as I was alluding to a moment ago, I don't think there are any barriers. Of course, yeah, as a young European um, with a very limited and modest savings spot, one might think that that's just a drop in the ocean, and that the way these savings are invested does not really make a difference in the big scheme of things. But that is a mistaken thought. It's like when we vote, we are just ahead of the European Union parliamentary vote. Uh, when we think that a single vote doesn't make a difference or is not important, we make a mistake. On the contrary, every single vote contributes to the final result, and it's the same with sustainable investing. Every active investment decision steers capital to a certain project or company or industry and away from others, and that's how we should think about it.
And so there are great opportunities, you think, for those young people in this case. If there are no or little barriers or challenges, there are plenty of opportunities. So your institution provides and investing significantly into those.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, what HSBC really uh, sorry, let me make one step back. HSBC is a bank that was born in Hong Kong and Shanghai in the mid 19th century and then grew for most of its history, in particular in the emerging countries of Asia and the Middle East. And in many of those countries, we were for a long time the first bank, the only bank, a quasi central bank in many circumstances, and therefore carry we wear that responsibility that comes with that position in a country with great sense of purpose, with great sense of responsibility, and have therefore taken the 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 responsibility also to support a transition of particularly those emerging countries to a more sustainable footing very, very seriously. And that's really what I would stress in answer to your question.
Definitely. Well, we're very glad that you are a partner. I know we are also in the jury our signature award here this year for Gen E, with a particular focus exactly on the climate, on the financing it, on climate finance and sustainable investing. What we are seeing it out of this, at least this year, 390,000 young people, which are part of the 6 million people that JA Europe trains every year to become future entrepreneur, is that we do not really need to push those young people to take an eye on the environment or on the future. It's coming out from them. We're seeing that year after year, more and more solutions that they are presenting to the different juries that are evaluating have a specifically eye on the impact that the organization. Do you think that the new generation is really more on the forefront than my generation, maybe, in tackling some of those issues? Have you had any experience about it?
Well, yes, I think so. And in the same way as we very often talk about digital natives when we talk about Generation Z and the subsequent one, I think we should also more often talk about sustainable natives. It's an expression I think that I've just invented, but it's
I don't
something
love
that
it. I never heard about the sustainable natives.
no,
Yes.
it's definitely something that they possess in a more implicit way, but it still requires nurturing and supporting. And we are very proud that through banking activity I spoke to earlier, and also the sponsoring of the particular award you just mentioned, we support this kind of activity by focused and attentive youngsters that contribute to the JA Europe set of projects. I want to stress actually in this context that HSBC has very proudly been supporting the Junior Achievement organization and history for a very, very long time.
They are one of the
Uh,
longest partner we have, indeed.
exactly, since
Many countries around the world.
1942. And the focus of projects has certainly changed over the years and the decades, but it has always been very forward looking and very visionary. And that's the great thing about young people, that they look at the world with fresh eyes and with very attentive eyes in terms of priorities. And long may that continue, and well done, JA.
And I think it's thanks to you, definitely, as you say, that we've been anticipating not only some of the trend, but some of the issues that will come after. And this is why we serve the young generation. We nurture ourselves for their creativity, their innovation, their capacity of looking at what they see in the community as a challenge and provide it directly as an answer, as an entrepreneur who is resilient. And it's true that with HSBC, we always focus a lot on the financial aspects, on the financial literacy, because they need to make savvy financial decisions that will impact the community, but they will impact themselves, right? So you have been a strong supporter of our pillar. And I'm glad to see now that we are combining that part also with the climate finance, with the sustainable investing. So we are once again anticipating it together, what is going to be. But if you would provide some advice to the young people who are taking this journey today, right? Imagine again, 16 years old, young entrepreneur, they're creating, they're seeing it. What kind of advice would you give them in the sector and on the topics we're just talking about?
Ah, they don't need my advice. Just go for it.
Just go for it. So
Just go for it.
definitely just go for it. It's a generation that is definitely resilient, and I'm sure is doing it. So we look forward to discover who's
Same
gonna
here.
be the awardee of HSBC this year, part of the largest youth entrepreneurship festival, Jenny. So I'm asking our audience to do just three things: like this podcast, share and comment, and obviously put down some of the questions that you would like to see. So we will share afterwards once this podcast is made it public. So, Gerd, any final words?
No, thanks for the opportunity. Really looking forward to Catania, and thanks for the opportunity of this short podcast.
Thank you very much. Thank you to you. Thank you to HSBC. Jenny is just around the corner.